Hey everyone, it's Masai Andrews here, and today I'm going to show you how to build an AI voice receptionist for your law firm that is also bilingual. An AI voice receptionist is, in my opinion, better than voicemail if no one is in the office. Or if you're a firm that you're dealing with a really large volume of calls and you want to qualify leads before you talk to them, then an AI receptionist can be good for that sort of first layer of qualification. And obviously it's good as well for taking calls after hours and being able to store those leads in some sort of a CRM or a database so you can contact them at a later date. If you don't know me, my name is Masai Andrews, and I help boutique law firms to build automations just like these so that they can save time and be more profitable. So let's get into this demo. Okay, so to actually build our agent, we're going to use a platform called Retail AI. We're building out a single prompt agent. I'm going to show you how to do all this stuff later on in the video, in the actual tutorial. But I'm just going to walk through the demo right now so you can see what a conversation looks like, how it's able to speak both English and Spanish, and then how it's able to extract data from the conversation and store that in a CRM of sorts in Airtable. So let's test the agent.
Hello, you've reached the Masai Law Firm. How can I help you today?
Hello, I have a question about a merger that I'm going to be doing, and I need some help from a lawyer to do it.
Thank you for reaching out. I can help you with intake so our team can follow up. Let's begin. Can I have your full name?
Yeah, my full name is John Doe.
Thank you, John. What is the best phone number to reach you?
The best phone number is going to be 567-888-1234.
Thank you. Briefly, what is your legal issue today?
So I have an automation business, and I'm going to be merging with my friend Jim down the street, and I need a mergers and acquisitions attorney to help me complete that merger.
Thank you for explaining. Do you already have a lawyer assisting you with this matter?
I don't have a lawyer yet, no.
Thank you. Our team will contact you soon.
Okay, so that's the call in English. I'm going to do another call in Spanish, but I'll want to just make sure that the automation was able to run. So if we open this up, we can see that an automation just ran successfully, and we should have that data here coming in through the coming into our Airtable. So we have the name here, we have the language spoken, we have the phone number, we have the legal issue, and we have whether or not the person has a lawyer or not. Obviously, you could add more data points into this if you wanted to, but for the sake of this demo, we just do a really basic one. And then I'll also show it to you in Spanish as well.
Hello, you've reached the Masai Law Firm. How can I help you today?
Hola, ¿puedes hablar español también?
Sí, puedo hablar español. Gracias por llamar. Puedo ayudarle con la admisión. Comencemos. ¿Cuál es su nombre completo?
Mi nombre es Juan Doe.
Gracias, Juan. ¿Cuál es el mejor número de teléfono para contactarle?
El mejor número va a ser 123-456-7899.
Gracias. Por favor, describa brevemente su problema legal.
Bueno, voy a empezar una empresa con mi hermano y necesitamos un abogado para ayudarnos con los papeles, con los documentos.
Entiendo, gracias por la información. ¿Ya tiene un abogado?
No, todavía no tengo, no.
Oh, gracias. Nuestro equipo se comunicará con usted pronto.
Okay, so that is Spanish also. And if I come into the workflow, I should be able to see another execution has been processed. So we have an execution that's gone through, and then we'll come into Airtable and we'll be able to see also the conversation I just had, the language it was in, the phone number being stored, the legal issue also actually translated into English, and then whether or not the person has a lawyer. So that is the demo. And then now I'm going to show you how to actually configure this voice agent, how to set up the prompt, and then how to set up the webhook connection so you can connect it to your automation platform and actually store this data into your CRM as well. Obviously, we're going to start building out on Retail AI, but what I want to do really quickly before we start this demo of actually, or the tutorial section of how to actually build this agent out, I just want to really go over a high level view of what we're actually going to be building. So open up my handy dandy whiteboard. We're going to be building out an agent. It's going to be an agent that is a call agent. So you can connect it to your voice over internet provider, or you can give it a unique phone number. And then from there, what we're going to do is we're going to connect this to our database, which is going to be Airtable, where we're going to have information about leads here. And whenever this agent has a call, as soon as the call hangs up, it's going to extract certain information from the transcript. And then when we tell it to extract certain pieces of information from the transcript, we're going to use our workflow building platform as a means to get the data from our agent into our database. And that's where N8N comes in as our workflow building platform to actually connect this agent with the database in the backend. So we're going to come to Retail AI. You're going to set up an account. I'm on my dashboard right now, but once you log in, you should be looking at a dashboard situation. And then what we'll do is we'll create an agent here in the top right. It'll be a voice agent that we'll create, and we'll select a single prompt agent. There's a lot of different types of agents here. You have conversational flow agents. So if you're familiar with a platform like VoiceFlow, where you can actually direct the flow of the conversation basically based off of conditional statements. If someone says this, do that. If someone says that, do something else. That's sort of what a conversational flow agent is like. You have your custom LLM that you could connect as well, and then multi-prompts for more flexible conversations. But because we're going to be dealing with a more pretty straightforward conversation and also a little bit freeform, we're going to select our single prompt agent right here. So select the single prompt agent. We're going to select start from blank, and we're going to click create. So then the main thing, if we have a single prompt agent, obviously, which I'm going to change this to YouTube demo agent. I'll change the name here in the top left. But if it's a single prompt agent, obviously the most important part of it is the prompt here. So what I'm going to do is grab the prompt from my previous agent, which I will also leave in the description as well. If you want to just copy the prompt, then you can just grab that prompt from the description. So I'll copy this prompt. I'll bring it into our agent, and then I'll paste it here. And then we'll go over some sections of the prompt quickly. This is just basically a title for the prompt. And then this is actually really critical here. So we tell it never to speak, read, or vocalize JSON or internal summaries to the caller. If you don't have a section like this in your prompt, what will happen is at the end of your call, or at the end of the call that the agent has with whoever it's speaking to, it will read back the JSON summary of the call to the caller, which obviously we don't want that to happen. So we have to tell it not to do that. And these are basically just a few different rules and regulations so that it doesn't actually read back the JSON to the initial caller. Then from here, we're telling it how to behave. We're letting it know it's a bilingual assistant. And now this is actually a perfect segue into how to set your agent to be bilingual. So if we go up right above this text box section where we put the prompt in, we're going to see a few different things. We have this button here, which allows us to choose our model. So if I open this up, we have a few different models we can choose from. We have all the way up to GPT-5. We have Claude, we have Gemini Flash. We have a few different models and also the pricing for each model, right? Then we also have the voice that we can select. So this button here with the person here, this allows us to choose the voice. So if you want to choose a different voice, you can select from all these different voices here.
Hi, I'm Andrew, your sturdy AI support, shouldering your burdens and mapping out solutions.
And there's tons of different voices that you can select from. These are the 11 Lab voices. There's also Cartesia voices. You have OpenAI voices, Minimax voices. And then you can sort these by gender. You can sort them by accent. All types of different ways for you to sort the different voices. But so these are all the different voices you can choose from. And then to make our agent actually multilingual, what we're going to do is come to this third button here all the way to the right where we see English right now. What we're going to have to do is change this to multilingual. You could also change it to be just one specific language. So if you want it to be Spanish, or if you want it to be Cantonese, if you want it to be Dutch or Korean or Danish or whatever language you want it to be, you can select your language and have it speak in that language. But because we want our agent to be able to speak both English and Spanish, we're going to select the multilingual option here. So this is the multilingual option. We already selected the voice and we selected the LLM that we're going to use. And then we can kind of go through the prompt a little bit more. So we're just telling it that it's a bilingual agent. And this is actually important because with this multilingual setting, it can actually speak a lot of different languages. It can speak Portuguese, French, whatever language, speak a ton of different languages. But we only wanted to speak English or Spanish. And so we're going to specify here for it to speak either English or Spanish. And that will also let it know what languages to look out for. Because if it knows that it's only speaking English or Spanish, then the agent will be looking out to hear for either English or Spanish, and it won't have to worry about hearing Russian, for example, right, and having to speak Russian. So we're going to specify what language it should speak, and we're going to give a brief overview of exactly what it should do step by step. We should tell it here that if it's not capable of giving legal advice, so we're going to specify that in the prompt as well. We're going to specify the data that we want it to collect, and then we're going to give a brief overview of how the call should go. And then from here, we have a few questions that we wanted to ask for intake. Obviously, you can specify these as you want to specify them. We have those questions both in English and in Spanish. And then a few general rules for the conversation. Keep responses short, redirect politely, repeat or clarify if needed. And then again, never speak JSON, never give legal advice. And then here we specify the final output that it should give, the full name, the phone, the issue, all of that kind of stuff. And then the final contact or the final response that it should give to the user. Now, below the prompt, we have another interesting section here. We have the welcome message. So here we can specify a few things. What I like to do is specify that the AI speaks first and doesn't wait for the user to speak. So as soon as the user calls and then the AI picks up the phone, the AI will speak first. And you can either have a dynamic message where it will figure out what to say itself, or you can set a custom message, which is what we have in the previous step. So for example, here we can say, hello, you have reached the YouTube law firm. How may I assist you today? And this is going to be a static message that it's always going to say every single time, right? So that's how we set the welcome message. And then we're going to come to this middle panel here where we're going to configure a few things. So functions, we're not going to use functions here, but this is where you could connect to a calendar, for example, to book an appointment. It's where you can give tools to your agent. So probably a calendar is going to be the most common example of being able to book appointments in a calendar or be able to check a calendar and see what dates are available for an appointment. But there's other tools that you could give it as well. And these are just where you would specify the tools and how it can use different tools, for example. So that's the function section. Knowledge base here is where you can add a PDF of information about your firm or about your business. And that is what would give the agent context in case somebody calls and they want more specific information about your firm, about the type of work you do. You would include that information here in this knowledge base setting. Speech settings, you can set a background sound here if you want a coffee shop or a outdoor or static noise. I prefer to leave it off. I prefer not to have the background sound, but you can set a background sound if you want. Responsiveness controls how fast the agent speaks back. And then also interruption sensitivity is just going to be how sensitive the agent is to being interrupted, right? So if it hears the person talking, it'll stop and let the person finish talking, essentially. We have a few other settings here. The main thing that we're going to want to use for our demo is this post-call data extraction setting here. So this is where we can determine the data points that are extracted after the call is finished. So we're going to actually add all of these variables here from the JSON so that we can have those set up and connect to our basically to our database or our CRM when we actually collect the data from the calls. So to add a new variable, we're just going to click add. We have the type of variable. So we have Booleans, true, false, numbers, selectors, but we're mainly going to choose text for most of these. And then we'll give it a name. We'll give our variable a name here, full name, and then, or actually we'll just put name for this. And then we'll call this the name, or we'll describe the variable in the description section. So we have the name of the variable and then we have the description of the variable here. And we'll describe this variable as the name of the caller. Save this. You can also determine whether it's optional or not. At the moment, it's not optional, but if we trigger this to be on, then it will be an optional variable. Maybe if somebody doesn't give their name, then the agent would leave this variable blank, right? Or wouldn't fill this variable. But because we wanted to fill this variable, we're going to make this not optional. We're going to save this. Then we're going to add the next variable, which is going to be phone. And the description of this, we're going to say it's the given phone number from the caller. Save this. Then we're going to specify the issue. And then the issue is we'll describe this as the main reason for the call, the main legal problem that the caller wants to solve. Save that. And then has underscore attorney, we're going to specify that this variable should only be filled yes or no, depending on whether the caller has an attorney already or not. We'll save this variable, and then the last variable will be language, which will be the primary language of the call. Should be either English or Spanish. And so what we've done here is we've just let our agent know what data points we wanted to send over to our webhook at the end of this call. And you also have the ability to change the LLM on this setting as well. So we could change this to GPT-5 Nano. You could change it to Claude if you wanted, Gemini, whatever you wanted to. And they take care of the usage for you. You just pay for it through the platform, through the Recall platform, or through the retail platform. And so now that we know what data points we want to extract, now we're actually going to need a webhook to send those data points to. So this is where we are going to start building out our workflow in N8N and also connecting into Airtable so that we can actually get a webhook URL to put into this webhook URL section. Okay, so now I'm going to show you guys how to actually build a workflow out in N8N. It's a really simple workflow. It's 3 steps: a webhook, a filter, and creating a record in Airtable. And I'll show you guys how to build this out from scratch. So you'll come into N8N, you'll create your workflow. The first step that we're going to have here is a webhook. And we're going to change the method here to a post method. I like to change the name as well to something that that has something to do with what the workflow actually is. So retail YouTube demo agent, let's say. We'll change the path here. You can include authentication if you want, basic authentication if you wanted to, but we won't do that for this demo. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to grab the production URL. So we're going to copy this. You can just click on it just to copy it. And we'll save the workflow and we'll activate it so that when we actually hit this webhook, we'll be able to actually get data to the production URL. So now that we've copied that production URL, we're going to come back into retail. We're going to come into this webhook settings section and paste the URL here. And then that will allow us to actually start sending data over to that URL. Now, there's a couple other things you have to build out. We're going to add a filter here, and then we're going to add an Airtable create record node. And I'm going to show you guys actually how to set these up in a second. For now, we're going to deactivate the Airtable node. I'll do a quick demo call just to get the data into this workflow, and then I'll show you how we can filter this and then also how we can connect into Airtable. Okay, so I just wrapped up a demo call. So there's a few different executions here happening around the same time. You have this execution that happens about a minute earlier. We need to filter out these executions so that we're not sending over any, or we're not processing any data that doesn't need to be processed, basically. So if we look at this execution, for example, and we look at the event here, this event is the call started event. And we don't want to process this event because it doesn't have any data about the actual call itself in terms of the transcript or in terms of the data points that we want to extract from the call. So we don't want to pass this call started event. I believe this will be the call ended event, I believe. Let's see. This is the call ended event, which has some data, has the transcript, has some of the data that we need. But the event that we really want to pass through is this last event, which is the call analyzed event. And so what we're going to be doing in our filter is we're going to be grabbing the event type here. We're going to drag and drop that into the value one section. And we only want to pass through events where the event type is equal to call analyzed. So that way, all of the other event types won't pass through here. And then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a record in Airtable. And so what I'll show you guys how to do now is actually how to build a connection in Airtable. So you'll come to airtable.com, and once you've signed into Airtable, you'll come up into your name here in the top right section. You'll go into, I believe, Builder Hub, and then you're going to create an access token. So you'll create a token, you'll give the token a name, YouTube demo token. You'll add all the scopes to the token, so you can add all these scopes. And then what I would do is I would just add all resources to this token, and you'll create that token and you'll copy the token, right? So you'll create that token, copy the token, make sure you have it saved somewhere. Then what you'll do from here is you will come to this plus button in the top right. You'll add your Airtable node. So you go to Airtable and you're going to grab a create a record action. Then what you'll do from here is I already have a credential here, but if you don't have a credential set up yet, you'll come to this credential to connect with section, open this out, click create a new credential, and then you'll paste your access token into this section here. And you'll click save, and then you'll be connected into Airtable. And if you gave the token access to all the bases, you'll be able to select your base from this list. You'll be able to select your table from this list, right? And so what I'm going to do here is create a new table. So I'll actually start with Omni and get Omni to build the table for me. So build a simple data table that will collect the following pieces of lead data: name, phone number as a string, phone number, name, phone number, language, name, phone number, language, primary legal issue, and has lawyer. Should be single select, yes or no. And then I'll have see if Omni can do a decent job of building out this database for us. So we have a database that's been built out. It actually built out a database for us, and it actually built out an interface for us as well. So publish this, not now. But it built out a decent interface for us, and it built out a decent database for us as well. So we have the name field, obviously. We have the phone number field. We have the language that the person's calling in, which this data is all going to come from retail. The primary legal issue, which again is going to come from retail, whether the person has a lawyer or not, which is coming from retail. Then we have a formula here, which gives us the initials of the caller. We have whether or not the person has a phone number, which I don't know that this is a necessary field, but we'll keep it in for this demo. Then we have the language standardized, where we just get the language all fully capitalized. We have an AI step here, which is telling us the category of the legal issue, which this can be really interesting or useful for you if you have multiple different legal practices or practice areas in your law firm. If you have family law and personal injury, for example, you want to be able to sort of categorize those things. And let's see, I'll actually open these tables out a little bit more. And then we have a brief summary of the lead. It tells us the lead's name, the language that they're speaking, and then the type of problem that they're looking for help with. And so what I'll do from here is we will connect into this database, and we'll start taking a few demo calls and sending that information over to this database. So let's see, the YouTube retail demo. We have our create a record step. We've already connected our personal access token in here. What we're going to do from here is all this should already be configured. The record should be configured. The operation should be configured. We're going to find our base here. So we're just going to find the name of this base, which is our lead intake manager. Let's go lead intake manager. There we go. And then the table is a leads table. And then from here, we're just going to match all the values. So lead summary is auto-generated by AI. Lead issue category is also auto-generated by AI. So we can get rid of those. And what we're going to do is grab from the previous step a few different values. So cost. Okay, so in this object here, the custom analysis data, we're going to drag the name in here. We're going to drag the phone number in here. We're going to drag the issue in here. We're going to drag whether or not the person has an attorney. We're going to drag that into the has a lawyer section. And then actually, let's do this. Let's correct this. So language, we're going to drag here. And then primary legal issue, we're going to drag here. And then from here, we can execute the step and make sure it's working. So if we come into Airtable now, we should be able to see Mark Brown, phone number, English, the primary legal issue, initials. And from here, you can run the agent and you can get a legal issue category and you can get the lead summary as well. The other thing that you can do with these fields is that you can edit them so they run automatically. So you can turn this on so it runs automatically. That way you don't have to manually run it every single time. So edit this field, turn it on so that it runs automatically. And so from here, we basically have our Airtable database set up. We have an interface with it as well that we can launch and look at. We have this interface that looks pretty decent. And then we also have the connection built out in 8N, which is a really simple workflow. It's just 3 steps. And we have the AI voice agent as well in retail. And so we can run a last test so that you can see how it works again from end to end.
Hello, you have reached the YouTube law firm. How may I assist you today?
Hola, si se puede hablar español también.
Gracias por llamar. Puedo ayudarle con la admisión. Comencemos. ¿Cuál es su nombre completo?
Mi nombre es Juan Smith.
Gracias, Juan. ¿Cuál es el mejor número de teléfono para contactarle?
El mejor número de teléfono va a ser 911-013-4567.
Gracias. Por favor, describa brevemente su problema legal.
Bueno, acabo de lesionarme, estuve trabajando y me está roto ahora mi brazo.
Entiendo. Gracias por compartir esa información. ¿Ya tiene un abogado?
No, todavía no tengo, no.
Gracias. Nuestro equipo se comunicará con usted pronto.
Okay, so that's a call in Spanish, and then we're going to check this workflow that we just built out. And we should be able to see an execution here that just happened, that just went through. And if we come into our lead intake manager, we have the name of the lead, we have the phone number, the language that the lead was speaking, we have the primary issue, whether or not the person has a lawyer, the initials, whether they have a phone number, which again, I don't really think is really necessary. Data point, we have the legal issue category and a brief summary that is generated by AI. So that is the end-to-end build of the legal agent and how you can connect it to a database in Airtable to get the data from callers that call your voice AI agent. Now, another thing that's really important, when you are ready to actually deploy this, once you've tested it and you're pretty happy with it and you want to deploy it on an actual phone number, you want to come to the retail dashboard. You'll come to phone numbers here on the left-hand side. And you will just add a phone number. You'll buy a new phone number. It can be any of these numbers. So I'll just grab one of these numbers here. You guys should like this video. I just spent $2 on a phone number for you guys to make this video for you. So you should definitely like the video now. But so you're gonna buy a phone number. Once you have a phone number, you can come to the agent. You'll come to the agent that you want to publish. Then when you publish the agent, you'll choose the inbound phone number, outbound phone number, and you'll just select the phone number that you have now, and that'll be the number that's set up. And then you'll publish that, and then you'll be able to reach the agent by calling that number. The other thing that you can do to set up a phone number that you already have is come to add a phone number, connect to your number via SIP trunking, and then you'll just fill out these data points. You can save it, and then you can connect to any existing phone number that you have. So this is really useful if you have a voice over internet provider, obviously, and you want to put an AI agent on that voice over internet provider. So that's how you actually set up the agent to run on this phone number. Now, if I call this phone number, I'll get in touch with the agent, and it will also be connected to the database, and all that stuff will already be set up. So that's how you connect the phone number to the agent as well. So the JSON for the agent and also the prompt for the agent will be in the description. If you are looking for any help building out agents like these or workflows or automations, and you're a small law firm owner, there is a link you can click on in the description to book a call, and we can help you out with those if you want to. And then that's pretty much everything for this video. So thank you guys a lot for watching it. If you liked the video, there's a button for that. You can like it. Means a lot. Subscribe so you can catch more videos like these, and also to help me get a silver play button. Comment, let me know if you like these kinds of videos or other kind of videos you guys want to see. And thank you guys a ton for watching this video, and I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day.